All right, now education institution Regenesys Business School has branched out from its normal offerings of business degrees. The institution is celebrating the accreditation of its law program. This degree is designed to equip the next generation of legal professionals with the necessary skills to operate in any field. The program is led by former Deputy Public Protector Kevin Malunga, who actually is with me in studio. Thank you, Advocate, for your time, and thank you for coming into studio. How's it going? I remember that they announced the decision to appoint you earlier this year. How's it going in terms of getting the students who are interested in getting a law degree and looking at the fact that there's a lot you see in South African courts lately?
Yes, the timing is excellent. As you can see, we're talking about the sins of Mayua case. So you do need lawyers, and good and ethical lawyers. But back to your question, it's going very well. It's been a very laborious process. As you indicated, I've been there since the beginning of the year, but there are many things that have to be done to ensure that a qualification is both accredited by the Council for Higher Education and, of course, has a registration under the Department of Higher Education, which is known as DHET, and, of course, registered by the South African Qualifications Authority. So there's a lot of rigorous processes that have to be put in place to ensure that the qualification is also recognized by the Legal Practice Council, and of course is fit for purpose for the practice of law in South Africa, and is a recognized qualification not only in South Africa but internationally, and all those boxes have been ticked. Hence the rather celebratory announcement that has been happening. But a lot of spade work has been happening in the background. So the qualification is now live. There's a website, and the first cohort of the LLB will happen. Will start at the beginning of the year, and it's all systems go. It's because of the transition in terms of how we do things. The program will be both online and contact. Yeah. Yes.
So, okay, that was the question I was going to ask you, because Regenesis is a business school. So I was wondering if this is going to be specifically, a degree in business law or something like that, but you've told me about LLB, so yes, everybody is included. Yes. So tell me, I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me why Regenesis, if somebody can decide to go to Wits or UCT.
I think I won't name names.
Okay.
I'll be very careful about naming names myself. Law people are very litigious, but you'll remember a few years back, a few of the so-called name brand institutions had their Council for Higher Education accreditation withdrawn. Very, very well-known institutions. Yeah. Some of the ones you've named, largely because of lack of compliance with the requirements that are needed for accreditation. And this qualification has made sure that we've ticked all the boxes, rigor in terms of making sure that the learning outcomes align with the courses, and of course ensuring that all the courses that are required for someone to be a lawyer in South Africa are there. You recall that since about 2014, there was the passing of the Legal Practice Act, of which I was ironically part of the chefs in the cooking when I was at the Department of Justice before I became Deputy Public Protector, which created a new system of recognizing lawyers, registering lawyers in South Africa, creating the Legal Practice Council, and so forth. And we've tried to make sure that we comply with all those requirements. And we have, and hence the accreditation by the Council for Higher Education, registration by the South African Qualifications Authority, which is SAQA, and those are very critical things that are very key for a qualification to be recognized internationally and locally, and of course. We are quite excited about that. But most importantly, the issue of ethical values is not just a bookish degree.
Okay.
Students will learn emotional and spiritual intelligence over and above the regular courses, ethics, economics, and other things. But because remember, in terms of the structure of the LLB generally, there is leeway for a few non-law courses, which an institution can offer. And of course, we've tried to make sure that we don't see these things that are happening. Make sure that we're not going to contribute to these shenanigans that you see in the Senzo Meyiwa trial.
I was about to ask you actually about that, because you say that you're also going to teach students how to have decorum, right, in courts, etc. And this is something that has been quite a contentious issue in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. And I wonder what you think as a lawyer and as an advocate about how it paints the South African law system to those who are sitting at home watching this and thinking, oh, so this is what happens in court.
Yes, I think a lot of the mistakes that have happened, Maseko, is the fact that training has, over the years, both training by academic institutions and by legal practitioners, has largely focused on the intelligence quotient, IQ, which is that type of intelligence. But there are many other types of intelligence that your emotional intelligence, your social and spiritual intelligence, and other ability to manage yourself, whatever the situation that you're faced with. And of course, we're seeing a lot of failure to do that. And we are saying that we are going to we are going to create the kind of lawyer that is firm in their convictions, courageous, but at the same time values Ubuntu, values other value systems that are and respects the rule of law. Because for a while I've seen the rule of law tanking out of the window. It's become a show, and the more there's TV, the more the shenanigans get worse.
Yeah. All right, so you were the former Deputy Public Protector, and a lot has been happening around that office and those who took up office after your tenure, yourself and Advocate Madonsela, right?
Yes.
And so I have to ask you about your thoughts on how this office is looking at the moment. The first time we're seeing a public protector being suspended by the president, and a section 189, a section 194, yes, a section 194, process happening against her, etc. And lawyers walking out. What are you thinking about the Public Protector's Office at the moment, from the way you left it to where it is and how it looks to the public right now?
Well, there's a process that's underway, so I have to be measured in my response and wait for the process to complete its outcome. But I certainly hope for the day where that institution gets back to focusing on its mandate, which is assisting the most vulnerable people in the country. And this is what we did. I did that for 7 years, non-stop. And a lot of the work that we did was largely about the most vulnerable in society, including these educational institutions that we're dealing with today. It's a tragedy, regardless of which side you're on, that this is what it is. And I hope that it comes to an end and is brought to an end with finality and fairly to all parties concerned.
Well, of course, we know that there's been other cases that the Public Protector's Office has been found wanting in the past couple of years, all the way to the Constitutional Court sometimes, with costs involved, etc. But let's talk about what brought us here. And I know I'm not asking you to make comment about like political issues, etc. But we know that it was the whole Phala Phala investigation, and now there's like just words going around on, no, he suspended me because he didn't want me to make any findings against him around Phala Phala, etc. And now finding out this week that we won't get that report until the end. They've been given an extension. What are your thoughts around this whole thing? Was the Public Protector's Office ever used by the president during your tenure to fight political wars?
The institution for a significant period was very colorful in that regard. You'd get a news article, political party X or Y the following day would say, hey, we're complaining about this. It became normal, and even members of the public. And I think that's a healthy democracy where people at least now know that they can complain. People know that they've got rights. But I think a lot of it, and I'll speak to the extent of my involvement and when I was there. I think there was a time when I think we felt that we're not checking reports with rigor, quality assuring them enough. And I think that's probably where I suspect the wheels started falling off. The rest of the issues, I have deliberately made sure that I'm not part of it, and I will not be part of it, which is why you don't see me in that process, because I have moved on very much.
You don't miss it?
I don't miss the drama. I miss the ability to change people's lives, the ordinary person, the most vulnerable person in society. And when when your grandmother's pension is late, and we can't record her pension from 1985. Those are the kind of things that were great. But of course, also the one great success story is the Zondo Commission, which we birthed as the midwives to say, look, there's a problem here. Please take this further. This elephant is too big for us. And of course, I also do enjoy the fact that I am now, because of that tenure, relatively a subject matter expert on a number of things like corruption, whistleblowing, ethics, and so forth. And so it's not completely over. One does have that impact on society still.
So, but okay, let me ask you about Phala in another way. With all these things that are happening in the media, comments that we're hearing from people suggesting that the president suspended the public protector as soon as she confirmed that she'd be investigating Phala, we still do have a public protector's office that is investigating this case. Would you say that a public protector's office is not an institution that can be influenced by a politician, and that South Africans can trust that there will be a fair report that comes out of that office?
I think it can, but it shouldn't, and I think that's very important. I think that's the legacy that we try to instill and infuse, to say, look, politicians are not your friends. When you are in that institution, you do your work, you write reports, you finalize them, you release them, and of course, the judgments that came out subsequently, the Gandla judgment, etc., said that allowed people to take these things on review. But the beauty of it all, Maseko, is the fact that it establishes South Africa as a country that respects the rule of law, whereas in some countries, which I won't name, people don't take on the president. People don't challenge the president or question a minister of government, or question a police commissioner, etc. So that part is good, and I think must be celebrated. But that also means that the people who are in the state must understand that this constitution is strong. They are below it, not above it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us, Advocate. I could tell there that you don't really want to give me your answer, but I'll take what you say.
Of course, I mean, when things are pending, you don't want to make pronouncements that will further complicate them.
Yeah.
So that's the nature. Hence my lawyerly responses.
Yes, I see that. What is it? Sub judice, because things are still pending.
Absolutely,
all right. Thank you very much, Advocate. Thank you for coming in and thank you for speaking to us. That was Advocate Kevin Malunga. He is the head of the Regenesis Law School and also the former Deputy Public Protector.